Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video, wherever you are, whatever you may be doing. Thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. If you join us live here on this late Friday evening, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Make sure to give the video a like, a thumbs up. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so and share the video on all social media platforms. Make sure you tell your friends, tell your family about the channel, and click that bell so you'll be notified whenever we go live. Almost didn't do a video tonight because it's so late, but we were supposed to go on a quick family out of town trip, just the five of us, Sunday afternoon to Pigeon Forge, and then come back home late Monday night because my wife and I both go back to work on Tuesday. Hey there, Jacob. Glad to have you here as always, but some things came up in the family and we're not going to get to go. So tonight we went out to eat as a family. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take the night off and not do a video, but then I thought, you know what, first of all, I want to do one. Second of all, I've got something on my mind that I want to discuss. And third of all, I've got wrestling tomorrow night, and I may not get home until close to midnight, so I may not do one tomorrow night. I didn't want to skip two straight nights, but tonight's one of those nights where I have nothing wrote down. Not even going to be a dad joke in tonight's video, so hopefully people will come on here and chime in, because if not, it'll be a short video. But I thought about this earlier today, and I've discussed it kind of sort of before, but didn't really go in depth with it. Plus, the channel has grown tremendously since the last time I discussed this. It had to be at least 2 years ago. But my question is, do you agree that it's okay, or do you think it's wrong, what I'm talking about? Earlier today, I was listening to some sports talk, and they were talking about Darian Mensah. Of course, he's the former quarterback at Tulane, former quarterback at Duke. Now he's at Miami. And a lot of people are saying that Miami was dirty. Hey there, Scarlett. Glad to have you here. And Scarlett, I think you're new to the channel. I don't recognize your name. If you are new, thank you so much for stopping by the channel. Feel free to subscribe to the channel. Give the video a like, a thumbs up. Tell your friends, tell your family about the channel. And make sure to click that bell so you'll get notified whenever we go live, and share the video on all social media platforms. But a lot of people are saying that Miami was actually dirty in this, because, you know, when somebody transfers, they're supposed to be they've got till a certain date and a certain time to, you know, put in their paper where they're going. Well, some people are saying that Miami contacted Mensah and accepted his transfer, you know, after the deadline. But of course, unless you're there and you see paperwork, you really don't know. Hey there, Christy. Glad to have you here on this Friday evening. But they were talking about it on the radio, and one of them said that it was dirty, and the other guy said, well, not really, because with the exception of Clemson and the academy schools, hey there, Dexter, glad to have you here, every other school has already kind of sort of been brought up in, you know, tampering in one way or another since the whole portal NIL stuff started. So the one guy said it was dirty. I said, well, not really, because it's only dirty if you're the only one doing it, or if, you know, maybe one other person's doing it. But if everybody's doing it, it's kind of fair game. So the only people that can gripe about it being dirty is Clemson and then the academy schools. Because first of all, the academy schools don't take transfers at all. And we know Clemson does, but, you know, very, very little. But we know what kind of fit Dabo had, you know, a few months back with Ole Miss and their tampering, which, you know, the season starts in about a month and still nothing has happened, which just tells you how crooked, college football is. But the reason why I thought about it is because I thought back in the Tour de France days. If you watch the Tour de France, back in the day, there was about a 5 or 6 year stretch where Lance Armstrong was the best biker. But there was a point in time where 25 people on the Tour de France, and 24 of them failed a drug test, but the only one that got talked about for using steroids was Lance Armstrong. The rest of them doing it, nobody cared. Why? Because they sucked. Nobody cares what you do when you suck. They only care what you do if you're winning or, breaking records. So Lance Armstrong got talked about because he won all those consecutive Tour de France's. The rest of them didn't get talked about because they did nothing. But the definition of cheating is supposed to be doing something that gives you a leg up on the competition. But if every single person is cheating, then really nobody has a leg up on competition because you're all doing the same thing. And I've always said the same thing about Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds is not the greatest hitter of all time. The greatest hitters of all time are Ty Cobb and Pete Rose and Ted Williams. And remember, if you go back and look at Ted Williams' numbers, Ted Williams took 2 years off to go fight in a war, came back, and started playing baseball again. So there's no telling what his numbers would be had he played all those years consecutively. But Barry Bonds is the greatest home run hitter, the greatest power hitter of all time. But he played back in the 90s, and you had bukus and bukus and bukus of players that failed drug tests for steroids, and none of them get talked about. But Barry Bonds does. Why? Because he broke the all-time home run record. But all the ones that sucked, nobody cared that you were on steroids because you sucked. But since Barry Bonds was good, it was a big deal. Not only that, but Barry Bonds also never failed a drug test. So how do you have thousands and thousands and thousands of players that are on steroids and they're failing drug tests, and you've got one guy that you swear up and down is on them, but he's not failing a drug test? Either Barry Bonds was never on steroids, or Major League Baseball is stupid, or Barry Bonds is a genius, because how did all those other players fail multiple drug tests for steroids and he never failed one? But even if he was on steroids, to me, it's not really cheating, because if the guy pitching to you is taking the same substance you are, you don't have no leg up. It's fair game. You're doing what he's doing. But people only care what you do when you're winning. And now that Miami is winning and, darn near won a national championship and, might go back to that game this year, people are making a big deal out of it. But if everybody in college football is tampering, with the exception of Clemson and the academy schools, then you really can't say Miami's dirty, because they're doing the same thing everybody else is doing. And if you're doing the same thing everybody else is doing, it's kind of fair game. So unless you're Clemson or an academy school, those few programs really can gripe and talk about how dirty it is. But nobody else can, because you're doing the same thing. People are only mad because Miami got Darian Mensah and they didn't. That's the only reason. But without having paperwork and being inside the program, it's just hearsay anyway. We have no idea when Miami contacted Mensah, when Mensah contacted Miami, when the paperwork was sent, when the phone calls are made. We don't know. All we can do is go by what we hear. And if you want to talk bad about Miami, well, of course you're going to, say they broke the rules, but you can't prove it. You can say anything, but you got to be able to prove it. By the way, Christy and Dexter, I thank you to the channel. If you are, thank you so much for being here. Feel free to give the video a like, a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, tell your friends, tell your family about the channel, share the video on all social media platforms, and make sure to click that bell so you'll get notified whenever we go live. Hey there, Chef Addison. Have you here? My question is, what side of the fence are you on? Are you with the one guy that says Miami's dirty, or are you with the other guy that says, hey, it's not dirty if everybody is doing it? It's kind of like, you know, me being 42 years old, and I've been straight edge all my life. Always have been. Always will be. That's a choice I've, chosen to make. And I've lived this long without it, so why start anything now? But that'd be kind of like sitting in a round table of 20 people and all of them are smoking, and one stands up and says, man, y'all dirty. Well, they're not any more dirty than you are because you're doing the same thing they're doing. If you've got 130 big time programs doing the same thing the Hurricanes are doing, they're not dirty. They're doing the same thing you're doing. They just beat you to it. So I'm just curious what side of the fence people are on. Are you on the side of the fence of, hey, it's dirty? Or are you on the side of the fence of, hey, it's dirty because it wasn't my team? If my team had got Mensa, I'd be okay with it. But since he's going to a team I don't like, it's not okay. Or are you on the side of the fence that says, hey, if everybody's doing it, it's fair game? And being that Ole Miss did it, and, Dabo came out and called them out and told the world they did it, and Ole Miss even pretty much said they're guilty because they said, hey, if you investigate us, we're going to throw other teams under the bus. All that's doing is saying, yeah, I'm guilty. Come find out. So Ole Miss told you they're guilty, and the season starts in a little over a month and nothing's happened. So that tells you that there's going to be nothing done. But it also tells you that it's not against the rules. Even if it's against the rules, it's not against the rules because the whole point of breaking the rules is to be punished when you do it. If you're not going to be punished when you do it, then you're not really doing anything wrong, because what's stopping you from doing it? It's kind of like in the real world. When you commit a crime, there's punishment. If there's no punishment, there's no crime. Well, this is the same way. If there's no punishment for tampering, then there's no such thing as tampering, because you're showing people that you're not going to stop it. So if you're not going to stop it, then why are teams and coaches going to stop tampering? Because nothing is going to be done about it. So any more thoughts on any, please feel free to let me know. Jacob, I hope you saw my video I put out on Wednesday about the wrestling show coming up next month with Lex Luger and Nikita Koloff. Hopefully you and the family already have your tickets, because I don't know how many people this building will hold, and I hate for y'all to wait till the day of and it be too late. And it just might be too late. So hopefully you have your tickets already. But any more thoughts on any of this, please feel free to let me know. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over. Count of three. Take your friends and family. How much